Do you know what the most well-studied drug is? It's not paracetamol. It's not ibuprofen. It's not Accutane. It's not any of these drugs that I guess we're very familiar with, right? The most commonly studied drug is placebo, the placebo effect. Because in every single clinical study, to my understanding, or at least most of them, if not every drug study, a placebo effect is included. So, in other words, let's say, for example, a drug is being tested based on how well it supports headaches, how well it eases the pain of a headache. In that trial, in order to make the data the best type of data, right, a placebo drug is included. In other words, some people are given a drug that is actually the drug that they've developed, and some people are given something that is just not that, but they think that it's the drug in order to actually test. It's a control group, essentially, in scientific literature. So, this is very interesting because what we find is that in a lot of these studies, the placebo effect actually still has an impact. In other words, people are given a pill that just has sugar in it, just a sugar pill. It doesn't have the actual drug, it doesn't have the mechanisms to support the body in overcoming that headache, for example, or overcoming whatever other thing it is. But people take it and they believe that they've been given a drug that has the intention of helping them with that thing. And because of the belief that they have, a lot of the times it actually makes a difference. In fact, don't quote me on the exact percentage, but from what I understand, around about 30% of 30% of cured cases are actually down to the placebo effect, right? Now I don't know if I worded that in the full correct terminology or whatever it is, but ultimately you understand that a massive amount of the cures that are created, a massive amount of the people that go through cures, that cure something, a massive amount of it is actually down to the placebo effect as opposed to it being down to the specific drug. As in, if they took something else, it still could have worked, which is very fascinating because what this highlights is that our brain is so powerful. We have to really think about what it is that we're thinking, because if we're thinking that this thing is going to help us, then it's likely to. We can see that as the 30% likelihood that it's going to, even regardless of what it actually is. But why see it as just 30%? Why not see it as a higher percentage? Because, of course, if we see it as a higher percentage, again, that belief that we have is stronger and it can literally change things in the body based on the way that we think. It can change the way that the body responds to certain things, evidently. I mean, there was another study that I was actually learning about recently where they gave patients with, I believe it's called osteoporosis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in their knee, right? They were having surgery. And in this surgery, they gave some of them an actual surgery. And then they gave some of them a false surgery. So they put them to sleep and they actually cut a, I don't remember what it's called, but they basically cut their knee so that it seemed as if they had the surgery. And the results were fascinating. The results were that the people who didn't even have a surgery, many of them still noticed significant changes in how they felt and the level of pain that they were experiencing in their knee, which is fascinating because, again, no surgery was done. All that was done is they were put to sleep and they were told that they had just been given a surgery that actually was going to help their knee. And a lot of the people, they actually had similar levels of pain adjustment. In other words, they reported a similar level of pain reduction as the ones who actually had the real procedure reported as well. So again, it just shows the power of the mind. So think about what kind of beliefs are you adopting? Because there's also something called the nocebo effect, which is essentially the opposite. If you believe that something is going to have a negative outcome, it's more likely to. Like, you can be given a drug that maybe you believe is going to make your symptoms worse. And then what happens? It makes it worse. So really be cautious of the way that you're thinking because it can show up in so many different areas of our life. It's not just about nutrition. It's not just about drugs or whatever it is. It's also about the other aspects. It's about, do you believe that you have the capabilities to do something? Do you believe that you have the capabilities to do well in a certain race? Or do you believe that you have the capability to focus? For example, if you believe that you or don't have the ability to focus, let's say you have, I don't know, some kind of condition, right? Let's say you have ADHD, right? And you believe that you can't focus, it's going to make it more challenging for you to actually focus than if you actually believe that you do have that capability in a lot of cases. Now, of course, in ADHD, there is actually some physical, chemical reasons why it would be more challenging for you to focus, and there are going to be some things that you can do to support that. I'm not an ADHD expert. It's just for the example's sake, right? There are people with ADHD who are able to focus because they believe that they're able to. And of course, there's going to be more to it than that. But it starts with the belief, because if you have the belief that you can focus, now you can start to work on the steps that you can take in order to go ahead and increase your focus. If you believe that because you have ADHD, you're never going to be able to focus, what's going to happen? You're not even going to try. You're not even going to search for the different avenues that you can take in order to go ahead and enhance your focus, the different strategies that you can use that are going to be better suited for you based on the fact that you have ADHD, etc. So ultimately, the moral of the story is, you have the power to do whatever you want to do, but you need to rewire the way you think, because the placebo effect is actually very, very real. What's important isn't necessarily what the truth is. What's more important is what we believe. Because if you believe that that thing is going to help you, regardless of whether it's true or not, regardless of whether the pill is a sugar pill, or if it's an actual drug that is designed to help you, or if it's a drug that's designed to make you, I don't know, make your head hurt more, for example, believing that it's going to help you is going to serve you better. Assuming that you're taking the drug in all of these circumstances. Of course, if it's a drug that is actually designed to hurt your head, and you have the option to not take it, that would be wise. But you get the point, right? Anyways, with that being said, you've been tuning with Shay Lamar. You already know the vibes. I'm going to catch you guys in the next video tomorrow. Go ahead and drop a like. Yeah, drop a like if you're feeling the videos. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more videos. We're dropping videos daily until April the 1st. So take advantage of these videos, for real. I'll catch you in the next one.